In 1513, a broke, tortured diplomat wrote something so disturbing about women that it was buried for 500 years. Not because it was false, but because it was so uncomfortably, undeniably true that it threatened every romantic illusion men held about female loyalty, love, and devotion. What Machiavelli observed wasn't about hating women. It was about fundamental female psychology that operates in every relationship you have right now. With your girlfriend, your ex, that girl you're talking to, everyone. Once you understand what he actually documented, you'll never see women the same way again. You'll never trust the same way again. You'll never be blindsided by she changed again. Because here's what nobody tells you about Machiavelli. He wasn't teaching men how to manipulate women. He was revealing the calculation that already exists in every female heart, including the one claiming to love you unconditionally right now. And the people who condemned him did so because they were using the exact patterns he described while pretending women operated from purer motives. Today we're going deep into what Machiavelli actually observed about female nature. Not the Disney version you've been sold. The real observations that explain why she left when you lost your job. Why her love evaporated when someone better appeared. Why her support came with invisible conditions. Why she smiled while monkey branching to your friend. This isn't theory. This is pattern recognition about female behavior that's operated for thousands of years and operates right now in every interaction you have. The only question is whether you'll see it clearly or keep pretending she operates from better motives than she actually does. The forbidden observation. Let me read you Machiavelli's exact words, written after watching countless women in royal courts destroy men who worshipped them. Women offer you their love, devotion, and loyalty entirely when your value is high. But when it diminishes, they turn against you with a speed that will leave you breathless. Read that again. Feel how it lands. Notice the resistance that comes up. The voice saying that's too cynical. Not all women are like that. My girl isn't like that. That resistance. That's exactly what Machiavelli predicted. He wrote, "Men will defend female virtue more fiercely than women themselves, because men need the illusion to justify their sacrifices. You need to believe she loves you for you, because if you accepted she loves what you provide, every investment you've made becomes a transaction you might be losing." But here's what makes this observation brutal rather than just cynical. Machiavelli included all women in this assessment, from peasants to princesses. He wasn't saying some women are opportunistic while others are pure. He was saying all women operate primarily from calculated self-interest. And recognizing this is the only way to navigate relationships successfully. The test that proves he's right. Think about the girl you're most certain loves you unconditionally right now. The one you'd bet everything on. Now run this thought experiment. You lose everything. Your money, your status, your confidence, your social circle, your ambition. You become depressed, needy, and broke. A net negative in her life. How long does she stay? Be honest. Not how long you hope she'd stay. How long does she actually stay before needing space, or falling out of love, or finding herself? That timeline, that uncomfortable number, is the truth about female loyalty. Everyone else is there for what you provide, not who you are at your core. This isn't a condemnation. It's a description, and once you accept it, you can finally build relationships on realistic foundations instead of romantic delusions that collapse the moment they're tested. Machiavelli spent decades observing women under pressure. In political marriages, royal courts, moments where survival depended on female loyalty. And what he documented was a pattern so consistent it might as well be a law of nature. Female attachment operates fundamentally on male provision, even when women genuinely believe they're acting from pure love. The three core truths. Now let's break down the specific mechanisms. Machiavelli identified three patterns that operate beneath every interaction with women, whether they acknowledge them or not. Truth 1. Female love is conditional on present value. Machiavelli wrote, "Women love according to their own calculation and remain according to your maintained provision." Translation: her feelings respond to your current value, not your history or potential. The moment your value drops relative to her options, feelings evaporate. In relationships, your girlfriend doesn't stay because of your bond or shared experiences or promises made. She stays because the relationship continues meeting her needs better than available alternatives. The moment this calculation changes, when someone objectively better shows sustained interest, or when you stop providing what made you valuable, the history becomes worthless data. This sounds harsh until you examine honestly. You've done the same thing. That girl you lost interest in when someone hotter showed interest. That relationship you left when it stopped serving you. You weren't evil. You were responding to changed calculations. She operates identically. Watch how this manifests in modern dating. She's obsessed with you when you're busy, outcome independent, and have options. You start acting available, delete dating apps. Make her your priority. Her interest drops, not because she's playing games, because your value signal changed from scarce to abundant, from high value to desperate. The mechanism is automatic. Women are biologically programmed to calculate mate value constantly. Your job, status, looks, confidence, social proof. They're all inputs. When inputs indicate declining value, attraction algorithms recalculate. She doesn't choose to lose feelings. The feelings respond to updated calculations. Understanding this prevents the naive devastation of thinking she changed. Or she wasn't who I thought. She didn't change. Your value changed. Or her perception of available alternatives changed. The woman you dated was always calculating. You just didn't see it while calculations favored you. Truth 2. Display matters more than substance. Here's where Machiavelli gets uncomfortably specific. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." For female attraction, this is absolute law. What you actually are matters almost nothing. What you appear to be determines everything. The genuinely successful guy who dresses poorly and acts humble gets rejected. The broke guy who rents luxury cars and projects abundance has options. The loyal, kind, hard-working man gets fringent. The selfish, exciting, unpredictable man gets obsession. Why? Women aren't consciously shallow. They're responding to signals that historically indicated real value. In Machiavelli's time, the prince who displayed power through ceremonies and armies commanded loyalty. The prince with actual strength but no displays got overthrown. Female psychology works identically. You can be everything a woman claims to want: stable, loyal, emotionally available, invested in her. But if you don't display confidence, outcome independence, and abundance, you're invisible. Meanwhile, the guy who's actually a mess but signals value correctly is drowning in female attention. This explains the pattern that drives you insane. Why does she choose obvious losers over good guys? Because losers mastered the display. They walk into rooms like they own them. They text like they have options. They create scarcity while you create availability. She's not choosing wrong by her programming. She's choosing what appears valuable. The brutal truth: your actual substance works against you if you can't display it correctly. Being a good man who appears weak makes you worthless in attraction markets. Being a mediocre man who appears strong makes you valuable. Fair? No. Reality? Yes. Truth 3. Availability destroys attraction. Machiavelli observed that princes who granted audiences to everyone became less respected than princes whose time was scarce. In relationships, this principle operates with terrifying precision. Complete availability doesn't build devotion. It destroys attraction. Early dating, you both have full lives. Friends, goals, hobbies. You see each other twice a week. Tying together feels valuable because it's scarce. She's attracted because you're a complete person who chooses to include her, not someone who needs her to function. Then you get serious. You drop your friends. Your hobbies disappear. You're available 24/7. Your entire existence revolves around her. You think you're showing love. She experiences you becoming an extension rather than an independent person she earned access to. What happens to extensions? They get taken for granted, used when convenient, discarded when better options appear. Because extensions aren't attractive, they're utilities, and utilities lose value through abundance. Watch this pattern destroy relationships. You were mysterious and challenging. She pursued you. You gave her access. Now you're completely known, always available, living for her validation. She loses interest, not because she's cruel, because you eliminated what made you valuable: scarcity, challenge, independence. The guy who maintains his own life, who has boundaries on his time, who doesn't text back immediately, who keeps building himself even while in a relationship, stays attractive. Not because he's playing games, because he's genuinely scarce. She has access, but not unlimited access. Scarcity maintains value. Abundance creates contempt. The respect versus love dynamic. Now, we reach Machiavelli's most misunderstood observation. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Everyone focuses on feared and misses the actual insight. Let me give you his full reasoning. Love is preserved by the link of benefit which, owing to the calculating nature of women, is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. But respect is maintained by consequences which never fail. Translation: her affection depends on you continuing to benefit her, which makes it fragile. Her respect depends on consequences you've proven you'll enforce, which makes it reliable. The practical distinction: the boyfriend she loves but doesn't respect gets walked over constantly. She cancels on him, takes him for granted, disrespects him publicly. Poor treatment carries no cost, so she has no reason to stop. The boyfriend she respects, even if love fluctuates, gets treated well consistently. She keeps commitments, shows consideration, maintains boundaries. Because she's learned that not doing so means losing access, and that cost is too high. Which would you rather have? A girl who claims to love you but disrespects you freely, or a girl who respects you enough to treat you well regardless of her emotional state? Machiavelli knew love without respect is worthless. Respect without love is valuable. Both together is ideal, but rare. The transformation protocol understanding this intellectually accomplishes nothing. Machiavelli didn't write theory. He documented practice. So here's how you actually apply these insights. Step 1. The value audit. Look at your current relationship honestly. What value do I provide her? Status, emotions, validation, stability, excitement, resources. What value does she provide me? Is this exchange balanced? For imbalanced relationships where you're giving significantly more, you have 3 options. Reduce your investment to match hers. Explicitly renegotiate the exchange. Or walk away and redirect that energy to balanced relationships. Most guys refuse this audit because results hurt. Do it anyway. Step 2. The boundary establishment. For each relationship you're keeping, identify what behavior you will and won't accept. Be specific. Then determine exactly what consequences follow if boundaries are violated. The consequence must be something you'll actually enforce. If you cancel on me without real reason again, I'm done making plans with you. Then follow through. The guy who states boundaries but doesn't enforce them has taught her his boundaries don't matter. Step 3. The independence maintenance. Keep your friends. Keep your hobbies. Keep building yourself. Have a life she's part of, not a life that revolves around her. This isn't about backup plans. It's about remaining a complete person rather than an extension. Complete people are attractive. Extensions get discarded. Machiavelli watched princes who merged into their queen's identities lose power. Your relationship works identically. Step 4. The display optimization. Stop focusing only on being a good person. Start mastering the displays that signal value. Confidence in body language. Outcome independence in texting. Social proof in your lifestyle. Abundance mentality in interactions. This isn't fake. It's learning to signal the value you actually have. Because if you don't signal it correctly, it doesn't exist in female perception. And female perception determines female attraction. The ultimate freedom. Here's what Machiavelli's truth actually offers. Freedom from naive victimhood. When you understand that women operate from calculation, you stop being shocked by she changed. You stop being hurt by women acting according to their nature. You stop expecting sacrifice that women are not biologically programmed to provide. This understanding doesn't make you heartless. It makes you strategic. You can still care deeply while recognizing that her loyalty has limits determined by calculation and self-interest. You can still build meaningful relationships by ensuring those relationships serve your interests as much as they serve hers. The man who understands female nature creates relationships that last because they're based on sustainable exchange rather than romantic fantasy that collapses under pressure. The man who denies female nature keeps getting blindsided by patterns. that were completely predictable to anyone who understood what Machiavelli documented. Machiavelli gave you the map. The territory hasn't changed in 500 years. Female nature operates on the same principles whether you're a medieval prince or a modern guy on dating apps. The princes who understood female psychology kept their power and their women. The princes who believed in romantic ideals got betrayed and replaced. In your life, understanding these principles is the difference between being used and being respected, between being the temporary guy and the irreplaceable one, between naive victimhood and strategic success. Welcome to reality. It's less comfortable than the fantasy, but it's the only place where real success is possible.